We all know by now that budget phones that are under 20,000 rupees, well, they are good for normal to mid heavy tasks only. We shouldn't be expecting something really good under this price, as most companies makes not so much profits from this range. But when it comes to Samsung phones around this price range, well, they mostly are bad. Well, some of the more recent ones are still good, but this one is the definition of why you shouldn't buy a budget Samsung device. Meet all the new Samsung A16 or a so-called upgrade over the A15 or M15 or F15, which are basically the same phones sold in different platforms with some minor to no changes at all. So we will probably get an M16 or F16 in the future as well, but let's focus on the A16 first, as it's a complete joke, and stay away from this. But first, let's see what upgrades, if there's any, we are getting as compared to the last gen A15 or M15 or F15. On the Samsung A16 you will get sort of a new look, but with the same old Samsung design with an IP54 water and dust protection rating, which was missing on the last gen phones of this particular series, with a bigger 6.7 inch display, which was previously 6.5 inch one, but with the same old Full HD plus 90Hz Super AMOLED display with maybe a slight thinner top and side bezels, but again looks very outdated thanks to that big bottom chin with a teardrop style notch. You get an upgraded Dimensity 6300 processor as compared to last gen 6400 plus on the A15 or M15, with a 4/6/8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage on the M or A15 and up to 256GB on the A15. And on the A16 you get 8GB of RAM only as of now, with 128GB or 256GB of storage. The cameras are the same, which is 50 megapixel main camera with no OIS, a 5 megapixel ultra wide angle camera which is good, and a 2 megapixel useless camera, and a 13 megapixel front camera with up to only 1080p 30fps video recording from both the front and the rear. You still get a single speaker and a 5000 mAh battery, which was actually 6000 mAh on the A for M15, with up to 25 watts fast charging support, but again no charger in the box, and a physical side fingerprint sensor, no in-display fingerprint sensor. And that's pretty much all about this so-called upgraded phone. And yes, the key highlight, it now has 6 major security and Android updates promise, which is pretty incredible. But what about the processor? Can it handle updates for that long? Now you would say it's still an upgrade, right? So why skip this one? Well, firstly, never buy an A series budget Samsung phone where an M series or F series will soon come with the exact same hardware and maybe with a bigger battery at a much cheaper pricing than this one. And secondly, it is priced at around 19,000 rupees for its 8 128GB variant. Yes, 19,000 rupees for this joke. You might have some card offers, but again, I'm not paying this price for this phone. You can find phones with much better specs at much cheaper pricing, like the CMF Phone 1, the Realme P1 or the Narzo 70 Turbo or anything like that. Or even you could just buy the Samsung M35 with much better specs at either around the same price or even lower. Like you can now easily get Samsung M15 at 12,000 rupees, even though it has only 6GB of RAM, but that's completely fine for most. But let's say you just want a Samsung phone around 20,000 rupees, then you could just get the Samsung M35. Let's now see a quick comparison to see why so. First, the display. The Samsung M35 has a 6.6 inch 120Hz Super AMOLED display protected by the Gorilla Glass Victus Plus, which is pretty incredible for the price, which is again brighter, and also the bezels are much slimmer and looks better as compared to the A16. And so overall the display looks better on the M35. It has a much better Exynos 1380 processor, which even though is an Exynos processor, but it is a much better processor as compared to the Dimensity 6300, be it in terms of day-to-day uses or even gaming or a slight bit of heavy tasking. It also has much better cameras as compared to the Samsung A16, in which you get a 15 megapixel main camera with an OIS, an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, and another 2 megapixel useless camera with a 13 megapixel front camera. And this one can shoot up to 4K 30fps from both of its front and the rear, which is pretty rare for the price, and again way better than the Samsung A16. It also has 6 or 8GB of RAM with 128 or 256GB of storage, but it has stereo speaker support with a physical fingerprint on the side. Also, this one has 6000 mAh battery with 25 watts fast charging support, but again no charger in the box. Yes, the M35 has only 4 major Android updates and 5 years of security updates, but I think that's enough updates for most people out there. Yes, this costs more around 90,000 rupees for the 6 128GB variant and 24,000 rupees for its 8 256GB variant on Amazon, but during any sales you could easily get the 6 128GB of M35 at around 15,000 rupees or 8 256GB at around 20,000 rupees, which again is similar on Flipkart too. So now you say, would you get this overpriced A16 when you already have a much better Samsung device, that's the Samsung M35 around the same price already, or any other device around 20,000 rupees? Or you can also find phones with a Dimensity 6300 around 12 to 15,000 rupees max, like in the Infinix Note 40X 5G or Hot 55G or Vivo T3X etc., which cost around 12,000 rupees for the 6 120GB variants. Yes, the Samsung A16 might have better cameras or software support, but again you can just get the Samsung M15 at 12,000 rupees or M35 at 15,000 rupees during sales, which will be better than the Samsung A16 in most conditions. So avoid this phone at any cost and get any other phone at around 20,000 rupees. You can get much better phones around that price, and don't get carried away by the 6 years of update promise policy. You can also watch this video about the best Samsung phones to buy in 2024, and yeah, till the next one, this was Ridip. See you guys.